Hello, model makers. If you're on a walk, keep an eye out for these little pieces of bark because wood makes excellent rocks.
Are you having a laugh? Are you having a laugh? You having a laugh?
No, we're not having a laugh. By the end of this video, you too will see that wood can make excellent rocks. The first thing we're going to do is take these pieces of bark and we're going to draw around them onto pieces of cardboard. And these will cut out, watching our thumbs.
Here's Jack Boy. This is a baller. Are you bastard yet?
Now, with your bases ready, you want to prep your wood.
Matron.
Now, I see a lot of videos missing this, but it's quite important that you get rid of any wee netteries living in the wood. And basically, you want to put them in the oven. You're going to get a really nice woody smell in the house, but all you have to do is put them on a bit of baking tray, put them on a low heat for a wee while, don't forget about them, and then they'll be ready. Okay, so once your wood has cooled down, you're going to want to glue it onto your bases. So I've chosen to use PVA glue here because it's cheap and cheerful, and you just lather it on, slap it on real good, and then use something heavy to weigh it down onto your base. It will take quite a while to dry, but then it's done. You could also use wood glue, super glue, or hot glue. So after that had dried, I then took some more PVA glue and I put on some sand to base them. And once that dried, I'm taking a cheap black spray paint and I'm just priming the model. Okay, and now it's painting time. So I've taken a brown here, and it's quite a light brown, and I'm just painting round the base of this model. And if it gets onto the rocky area, then so be it, that's fine. And as you can see, it starts off a really bright brown, but this is going to dry pretty dark. So use a lighter shade really than what you want the final thing to be, or go over it again afterwards, like you can see I'm doing here, with a more of a tan color, just to provide a bit of a dry brush to pick out those details. So to paint the actual rocks themselves, I'm going to take kind of a flat grey colour, and this is actually a test pot of paint from B&Q, but it does the job fine. I'm just going to slap this on and cover the rocks themselves. You don't have to be too neat about this, it's all good. Now, this next stage is entirely optional. Well, I mean, the whole tutorial is optional, but this bit is somewhat strange. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this bright blue and I'm going to dab it randomly onto the rocks. Now it's going to be really garish, and I'm going to make it even worse because I'm then going to add green. And to be honest, you could add purple, you could add brown, you could add yellow. And I'm dabbing this on and then I'm going to let it dry. Then I'm going to take a wash, and this is just a murky brown. I'm going to lather the whole thing. And this is going to really tone it down, but still leave those trace bright colours. With the wash dry, you will see that it has toned it down, but it's still left the blue and the green showing through to kind of give a bit of variation to that rock. Then I'm going to take my original grey, and I'm just going to very lightly paint over that. It's a bit of a dry brush really, and that's just going to tie it all together again. Now I'm going to take a much lighter grey, this is almost more of a white, and I'm going to provide a very light dry brush. I'm just going to tickle the top of the rocks. And what you can see is that's really going to pick out the detail, the lovely detail that we have in those pieces of bark. And so now comes my favourite part. This is where we bring the model to life. What I'm doing is I'm taking some PVA and I'm just dabbing it on to the base of the model. And I'm even going to put a little bit in some of the wee nooks and crannies on the rock itself. With that PVA glue, just where I want it, I'm then going to take a handful of my flock. Now you can use whatever you want. This is something I've made myself, just from old wood chips that I've kind of broken down and applied paint to. And I'm just sprinkling that onto the model. Dab it down and then blow off the excess. And there you have your model. Got a nice flocking base. And if you want to take it up a level and add a little bit more realism to that coloured flock, you can take your PVA glue again and just dab it on to a few other patches. And then take another shade of flock. So I've gone for a yellow dead grass here, but you could also use a darker green, for instance. And just pop that on top, and you're going to get a nice contrast from the two colours. Now, to add some finishing touches, you can add some tufts. Now, you can buy tufts of grass or debris, etc., online, or if you're particularly savvy, you can get these big bags of moss or kind of like dried grass effect, which are often used for things like wreath making out of craft shops. And I'm just going to take some of those and I'm just going to break off a piece, put it into a little wee clump, add some of my PVA glue or super glue, and then just hold it down into position onto the base. Now I'm using two different colours here. I'm using kind of like a dead mossy effect, and then I'm also going to use a more bright green one, which actually I got at Christmas time going for dirt cheap. And it really does help sell the final piece. And talking of wreath making, this fake plastic fern, which you can buy, like I said, in any craft store, makes for excellent little ferns on your models. Just cut off some of the smaller stems, and then with a little dab of PVA glue or with super glue, just dab it into position and hold it for a few seconds. And then you've got a perfect fern. And so, with that final step, these rocks are done. I told you at the start, just picking up a few pieces of bark on your evening walk could turn into a brilliant wee piece of terrain. And I think these do look great. So, if you found another way to make rocks, let me know in the comment. Until then, see you next time.